What up?
We talk the way we walk, or the way we grew. Whatever it is, they love it. California thuggin', they can't get enough of it.
What up?
Say fuck it. Baby, come get some of Freddie G's loving.
Think about how many decisions you make in a day without even thinking about them. You wake up, go to work, come home, normal, right? Now imagine this. One decision, one moment, and suddenly you're not going home anymore because of something that you did that you can't take back. Crazy. And the scary part, it didn't start as a plan. It started as a moment. We're getting into it, baby. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're talking about something deeper than just a case. We're talking about a question that honestly makes people uncomfortable. What makes someone risk everything in one moment? This conversation is centered around the case of Athena Strand, a 7-year-old girl who should still be here today. And I want to be clear. This isn't about sensationalizing anything. This is about understanding human behavior. Because if we don't, we start believing it could never happen around us. Right? Everybody thinks it happens just in those rural places or somewhere far, far in a different land or something. Let's slow this down, though. This wasn't a headline at first. This was a normal day. Athena, just 7 years old, at home, where she should have been safe, right? And within a short window of time, she's gone. Now imagine that feeling for a family. That moment when something just doesn't feel right. And you got them instincts. Search efforts begin immediately. Neighbors, law enforcement, everyone moving fast. Because when a child goes missing, every second matters. And then, that moment nobody wants to hear. She's found. But not the way anyone hoped. Man. So at that point, everything changes. Authorities identify a suspect, Tanner Lynn Horner, a delivery driver. Someone living a normal life, moving through neighborhoods daily, delivering packages. And that's what makes this hit different. because it breaks the illusion that danger always looks obvious. Most of the time, it doesn't. You know? So right now, the suspect is facing capital murder, aggravated kidnapping, and in Texas, life in prison without parole or even the death penalty. One moment, and everything is gone. Just like that, man. It's crazy. So what we know so far in this case, Athena disappeared from her home. The suspect was in the area making deliveries. He later admitted to taking her and ultimately taking her life. Authorities were able to locate her after that confession. And that's where this all becomes more than a case. You know, it becomes a question. You know, and I've been following this case, man. It's crazy. You know, the question, you know, why risk everything in a moment like that? You know, so here's the real talk moment, man. It often starts with impulse. Then a line gets crossed. Panic takes over. And instead of stopping, you know, things escalate. And in this moment, you know, logic disappears. You know, because at the end of all of this, this is about a real life. Athena's life. A 7-year-old girl, you know, who should still be here. You know, it's just crazy, bro. A family that will never be the same. You know, how do you go on from that? It's crazy. And real quick, guys, you know, before we keep going, you know, if you're thinking about doing something special for your mom this year, you know, this is the time. It's coming up, right? So I've got a Mother's Day sale going on right now over at Kane 3D Studio on Etsy. You know, we're talking about custom 3D printed gifts, unique designs you won't find in stores, things that actually feel personal, you know, not the last minute generic stuff, you know, something that actually means something, you know. So if you're looking for something and you want to grab something special, you know, like I said, right now there's a big sale going on. Go check it out. The link will be in the description. You know, support the brand, support the podcast. And most important, do something real for your mom this year. You know, because you never know how long she's going to be here on earth. You know, so just, you know, make it a little extra special for her this year. It doesn't have to be nothing big, nothing, you know, something small. You know, but like I said, for example, these Stanley toppers got that #1 mom. I know mine was the number one mom. You know, so they got trinkets. They got, you know, kind of a little bit of everything. They got these for the coffee moms. Got that mom fuel. And these normally fit all of your standard, like Stanley straws and stuff like that. I got it from my mama. Got the mother of the freaking year badge. Number one mom. They got the best mom ever. And obviously the best mom ever. So yeah, so pick these up. There's actually a sale on these too. So there's like, if you grab more than two, you know, they go down in price. But anyways, guys, like I said, make it special for your mom this year. Check out the Etsy store. Link is in the description. You guys won't be disappointed. We'll get them printed out pretty quick and get them shipped out just as fast as well. All right. So it's time for mic drop confessions, guys. So you send in the truth. I hold the mic. Like I said, you know, we all go through stuff. And this one ties directly into today's topic. You know. So that confession, you guys send it in and we talk about it. You know, you can be this is anonymous, obviously. Excuse me. I've had moments where I've gotten so angry, so overwhelmed, you know, sometimes that I'm scared, that I've scared myself, you know. I've never acted on it, you know, but I've had the thoughts that made me question like who I am. You know, am I a bad person for even thinking like that? You know, you're not. You know, but I'm sure, you know, when you get mad, you get all that anger and you know, sometimes you want to act on it. Sometimes you don't. This is real, guys, you know, and a lot more people experience this than they admit. Having thoughts, impulses, anger doesn't make you a bad person. You know, if anything, it makes you human. But what really matters is what you do with it. The difference between someone who stays in control and someone who loses everything is the ability to stop. You know? And those of you still watching up to now, guys, I appreciate you. You know, I forgot to check how many subscribers we were at this time, but I know we were like at 668 subscribers now. So make sure you guys hit that like, hit that follow. You know, you are not your thoughts, guys. You are your actions. You know, and self-control is one of the most important skills you'll ever build. Because one moment without it can change everything. You know? So, you know, with this, you know, let me know, guys. Let me know in the comments. So I want to ask everyone listening, have you ever had a moment where you feel like you could lose control? I'm sure you have. And what stopped you? What stopped you from losing control? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. You know, with this, guys, I'll leave you guys with this. You know, here's the truth. You know, life doesn't always fall apart slowly. Sometimes it happens in a moment. One decision that you don't stop. You know, in this case, Athena, I just don't know, man. I don't know what, that's that thought that makes me wonder, everyone, why people do certain things, what drives them to that. Was that their last resort? It's just like so many unanswered questions, and why this poor little girl, 7 years old, man. She's out there having fun, not a care in the world. She's out there just having fun, being a little girl. Some of the testimonies has been crazy to even watch, bro. It's like, her mom testified and how beautiful and how an awesome little girl she was. Rest in peace, Athena, But with this episode, make you guys think, guys. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button, guys. Like I said, we're a little bit over 660 subscribers. We're on the road to 1,000. And if you got something you want to get off your chest, hey, send it in. Send it in. It can be anonymous. We'll talk about it. We'll share it. Because you already know, you send the truth and I hold the mic, and we don't sugarcoat nothing, baby. We get to the nitty gritty. We tell it like it is. We don't sugarcoat shit on Mike Manifestations podcast, guys. But yeah, like I said, if you guys like the channel, guys, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Take care of yourselves. Keep the conversation real. Keep becoming a better version of yourself, guys. And as always, like I say, most important, guys, stay human. Right? Catch you guys on the next one, guys. We out. Thank you. Peace.
Liquor in my cup, so I say fuck it. Baby, come get some of Freddie G's loving.